Hello everyone. Today we are going to read about the structure of DNA. But before going to the structure of DNA, we must understand about the RNA world. Now RNA is considered to be the first genetic material prior to that of the DNA. There are various reasons for that. The reasons are that RNA not only acts as a genetic material, but it acts as a catalyst for various kinds of metabolic reactions happening in the organism's body. Also, RNA is fast mutating. That means if it is subjected to mutation, it undergoes a rapid mutation, resulting into appearance of a new character in the organism. But as far as the DNA is concerned, DNA is double-stranded, complementary base pairing is there, so mutation do takes place in case of DNA, but it is quite stable compared to that of the RNA. The RNA acts as a catalyst for various kinds of reactions, whereas the DNA does not do such kind of thing. For the appearance of any character which is in the form of the nucleic acid present in the DNA, it has to be first transcribed into mRNA, and then by the help of the mRNA, the codons which are present on the mRNA, it is translated into amino acids, it is translated into protein rather, and then the phenotypic expression or the biogenesis takes place of the organism. That means the organisms, not only the proteins which are formed is related to that of the chemical reactions happening in the body, some of them are also related to that of the repairing work of the cell. So proteins are related for the various kinds of work which is required by the cell to perform. So the model which was proposed for the DNA, there were many people who worked upon it, but it was Watson and Crick who, by means of the X-ray crystallography in 1953, proposed this model of DNA, which is called the semi-conservative model of DNA. Now this model of the DNA, there were a lot of assumptions, and there were a lot of work regarding it, that how it is made up of, or what exactly is the genetic composition, and how the base pairs are arranged and all those things, and people started working upon it. And it was until the year 1953 when these two scientists, Watson and Crick, proposed the entire model of the DNA, and they called it as a double helical model of the DNA. And that is not only that, and they also confirmed that the replication of the DNA multiplies and goes to the next generation by means of a method which is called as your semi-conservative method of DNA replication. Now this semi-conservative method of DNA replication, what does it mean? That suppose if it is a parental strand, then when the cell will divide, so during that time, especially it happens in the S phase, that is the synthesis phase, when the DNA multiplies. During that synthetic phase, what happens is that the two parental strands of the DNA molecule, it unwinds. And when it unwinds, and then with the help of certain energy rich molecules like that of the ATPs, there are some molecules like GTP, guanosine triphosphate, CTP. Okay, so there are various these kinds of phosphate molecules which are carrying the that is your nitrogenous base and bringing them, and then they are making the complementary base pairing with the template strand of the parental DNA, resulting into formation of two new strands. Now these two new strands which are formed, it will have one strand which is parental and one new daughter strand. So since it is having half 50%, that is the template strand of that of the parent, and the newly formed strand, that is the daughter strand, with respect to the base pairs which are present in the parental strand. So this method of replication of the DNA was proposed as the semi-conservative method of DNA replication by Watson and Crick. But they could not experimentally prove it that this thing happens actually, but they have assumed and they have said that the DNA replicates semi-conservatively. Okay, now to know or to confirm this, that whether the DNA replicates semi-conservatively, there were two scientists. The name of the scientist was Michelson and Stahl. Now Michelson and Stahl experimentally proved that the DNA replicates semi-conservatively. Now how did they do so? At first they had grew the DNA, that is E. coli actually bacteria containing the DNA in a medium which contained the N14, that is an ammonium chloride culture media they had grown, and that ammonia, which is having nitrogen in it, that nitrogen was heavy nitrogen, N15. N15 is not radioactive nitrogen, it is heavy nitrogen, because when centrifuge will be taking place under the cesium chloride gradient in which they had performed the experiment, because of the heaviness of the N15, it sedimented almost at the bottom. You can see here the red mark over here, that is, it has sedimented in the bottom. So the E. coli bacteria, which was totally growing in the ammonium chloride media containing the N15 nitrogen in it, they, after 20 minutes, they will be replicating. So after various generations, when they were sure that that is the nitrogen present in the DNA of these bacteria was N15, then next what they did is that they then grew these bacteria, which was growing earlier in N15, that is your type of culture media, into N14, that is the normal nitrogen, and they grew it. And you know that the E. coli bacteria takes 20 minutes for its growth and replication, so it's 20 minutes. So after 20 minutes, the DNA which was obtained from the E. coli bacteria, again in cesium chloride gradient, density gradient, they were centrifuged, and this time in the centrifuge tube they found intermediate, a hybrid a band of nitrogen, which was a little bit ahead of the heavy nitrogen. So heavy nitrogen was towards the bottom, and you can see that this hybrid N15 and N14 is in the middle. It is coming ahead. So it was density wise, it was less compared to that of N15. Now they again wanted to confirm it, so again they had grew this same that is your bacteria into N14, that is ammonium chloride containing the nitrogen which was N14, that is a normal nitrogen. So after it was after 20 minutes, then next 20 minutes it will become 40 minutes. So after 40 minutes, now they obtained the E. coli bacteria, they isolated the DNA and they centrifuged it in cesium chloride gradient, and after centrifugation they found that there were two separate band formation, and one was a light band and one was a hybrid band. Now why did this happen? You can see it well here, that if the DNA is replicating semi-conservatively, so earlier it was N15, so when it will be replicating after 20 minutes, it will be having one parental strand and one new strand. So one parental strand will be having the N15, and the new DNA which will be forming with respect to this complementary parental DNA will be having N14, because now it has been transferred into a culture media which is containing the normal nitrogen, that is the N14 nitrogen. So one of the daughter strand now will have the nitrogen which is N14, and the parental strand is having the N15. Okay, so that's why this is called the hybrid DNA. Now when the same thing again is grown in the normal nitrogen, that is your ammonium chloride containing cultured media, so what will happen? Now this two will be acting as a template, because these two are the parental strand for the next generation. So this one, which is the that is containing the normal N14, that is green one, it will be having the base pairs which will be again having the N14, and this red color will have N14 with it. So N15 and N14. So for this N15 there will be N14, because this will act as a parental strand, this will act as a parental strand. So for this green color there will be complementary base pairing, this for this red it will be complementary base pairing. So when this is natural, this is the normal nitrogen, this green one, so it will be also forming, because it is now growing in the culture media containing the normal nitrogen, so it will be forming base pairs coming from that of the cultured media which is having the N14 in it, so it will be green and green, and this red will be forming the complementary base pairing which will be green. So red and green. Again with this also same thing will happen, the green will act as a template strand, the red will act as a template strand. With respect to the red there will be a green, and with respect to a green there will be a green. So two green, that means since it is growing further in only the N14 culture media, so that's why they will get this light bands in the centrifuge tube, and along with that they will be getting the hybrid band, but they cannot get this heavy band, because for getting the heavy band they need to grow it in the culture media containing the N15 nitrogen, but we are not growing it in the N15 nitrogen. culture media. So from this experiment, Messelson and Stahl came to the conclusion that the DNA replicates semi-conservatively. Okay, now the next thing is about replication. Now how does replication takes place in case of DNA, that we are going to study. Okay. For understanding of the replication of the DNA, the machinery and the enzymes has to be understood, and for this reason the prokaryotic organism E. coli is the best example. The reason is because E. coli multiplies at a very faster rate, and the E. coli is easily available, and the E. coli has the base pairs which can be replicated at a very fast rate. Within just 38 minutes the entire replication, which is 4.6 into 10 to the power 6 base pairs, is quite easier. So the machineries which are involved in the process of replication, you see, they need the nucleosides, the phosphorylated that is nucleosides, because it's an energy demanding process. The replication requires a lot of energy. Entire chromosome cannot be replicated at a time, so segment by segment the replication takes place. So there is a certain region in the chromosome of that is the prokaryotic organism E. coli, from where the replication will begin. Now the place from where the replication will begin, that is known as the origin of replication, and we write it as ORIC sometimes. Okay, so we write it as your ORI, ORIC. Okay, or that is the replication site, the origin of replication. So there actually what happens is that there is an enzyme. The name of that enzyme is called helicase. Now this helicase, what does it do is that it selects a certain segment of the DNA, and it binds with that segment, and then it starts zipping it out. It's like a zipper phenomenon. So it opens up the two strands of the DNA. So when the two strands of the DNA opens up, then what happens is that as they are complementary and there is hydrogen bonding, so again there is a chances of further winding of the two complementary strands of the DNA, and then the replication will be a troublesome process. So to stabilize the two strands of the DNA, there is SSB protein, okay, that is called as your single stranded binding protein. Okay, you can see in the video that single stranded binding proteins stabilize the two complementary strands of the DNA, and now what happens is that now the role of the main enzyme of the replication, that is the DNA dependent DNA polymerase. Now this DNA polymerase has fascination. What is its fascination? That it can only do the replication in the direction 5' to 3'. Okay, that is the strand, the template strand, that is the parental strand must be 3' to 5'. Okay, so this is the parental strand. This blue color is the parental strand. So this parental strand is from 3' to 5'. So let us write it as this one, as 5'. So it is starting from 3' to 5', and another one with black I have drawn. So if it is 5', then the other end is 3'. So the DNA dependent DNA polymerase always can do easily the replication in the direction 3' to 5'. So problem is not here. Okay, it can replicate. It will start the replication by the help of a RNA primer, okay, which is obtained by that of another enzyme which is called RNA primase. Okay, so the RNA primase begins the replication process, and from 3' to 5' direction the replication smoothly goes on. Okay, it smoothly goes on. The problem is with the other strand. The other strand is from the 5' to 3' direction. Now DNA dependent DNA polymerase cannot do the replication in this direction 5' to 3'. It always needs a direction 3' to 5'. So how will it do so? It has to fix itself in this direction and do the replication backward. It is just going forward, and this will go backward. So when it is going backward, at the moment it is unzipping or it is opening up, the two replication fork is happening. That means the two parental strands are pulled apart. In that case, the replication in this direction, which is having the template strand from 3' to 5', from here the 5' to 3' easily is happening continuously. But the DNA polymerase from this direction, it is first synthesizing one RNA primer by the help of RNA primase, and then it is synthesizing the that is your daughter strand with respect to this polarity of 5 prime to 3 prime direction, parental strand in the opposite direction. Now it is formed again when the unzipping will take place, suppose of this segment. Then what will happen? Again this one is continuing, but this one again from here the new primer has to be added and new daughter strand has to form. So it will be segment by segment. This means pieces, fragments. Now these fragments are known as your Okazaki fragments. So there was a Japanese scientist, depending upon his name, because he has first found, so to respect him, these fragments, which is the discontinuous fragments formed on the strand which is in the polarity of 5 prime to 3 prime in case of the parental strand, each pieces or each segments or fragments is known as your Okazaki fragments. So what are they known as? They are known as your Okazaki fragments. They are known as your Okazaki fragments. Now these discontinuous strands which are formed or the Okazaki fragments are formed, then how will they form a continuous strand? The formation of the continuous strand will take place when the replication of the entire DNA is completed. Then there is a enzyme. Okay, this portion it is finished. Then there will be enzyme coming. What is the name of that enzyme? DNA polymerase does the proofreading, and also the RNA primers which are formed at each of the fragments starting is replaced by the complementary that is nitrogenous base, which is for the DNA, because RNA's base pairs and DNA's base pairs are not same. Uracil has to be replaced here with the DNA nitrogenous base. So it is also done by the help of the DNA polymerase. Once it is done, now there is another enzyme which is called DNA ligase. Now the ligase joins this discontinuous strand, or the lagging strand, the fragments of the lagging strand, and now it is completed, and this way the replication is finished, and now the two strands, one parental strand and one daughter strand, again winds because of the complementary base pairing, and thus the that is the replication is completed. Okay, now the replication of the DNA in case of the eukaryotes, it is in the when you have read about the cell cycle in class 11, in that you have read about that replication of the DNA generally takes place in the S phase. As soon after the replication, if the cell does not divide, that means if the cytokinesis does not take place after the karyokinesis, that can lead to polyploidy. Okay, so the polyploidy again can lead to some kinds of abnormality or some kinds of appearance of some phenotypic characters, which may sometimes can be useful in, as we have seen in case of plants, but it may not be useful for in case of the other organisms. So in case of eukaryotes, since they have the number of chromosomes more, so the replication fork starts in number of places, which is called replication bubble, because it appears like that of a bubble like structure, having the middle portion which is broader and the side two portion as the tapering portion. There you will be finding that replication is assisted by the different forms of the DNA polymerase, and then the ligase helps in the that is your joining of those fragments into forming the second strand, that is the discontinuous strand. So one is a continuous strand, one is a discontinuous strand, and for that so many enzymes are required. Okay, so this is about the various kinds of machinery and various kinds of enzymes which are involved in the process of the replication. Once the DNA is replicated, now this DNA can be moving on to the next section, that is for the gene expression. There are various levels of regulation. One regulation takes place when the when all these things, replication is happening inside the nucleus. mRNA formation will be taking place inside the nucleus, but after the mRNA is formed, after the mRNA is processed, because mRNA after the formation is a nascent mRNA, which is not the ready mRNA for the decoding of the protein or the phenotypic character in the form of enzyme or the hormone. So it needs to be processed. So all those things, after it is being done inside the nucleus, then by the means of the nuclear pore present in the inside the cell, the mRNA now comes out of the nucleus into the cell cytoplasm, because in the cell cytoplasm are present the ribosomes. Until and unless the ribosomal subunits, that is the larger subunit and the smaller subunits, forms the tunnel or forms the structure of the ribosomal unit through which the mRNA strand will be passing, and as a result of it the T, because it will be generating that portion of the tRNA to come and bind with it, having the anticodon sequence, so that now one by one the amino acids can come and bind, and now synthesis of the polypeptide chain can take place. So formation is happening inside the nucleus of the mRNA, replication is happening inside, that means transcription and replication is happening inside the nucleus of a cell, but as far as the translation process is concerned, it takes place in the cell cytoplasm. So it will be coming into the cell cytoplasm, and in the cell cytoplasm only the translation of the protein will take place. So regulation of the gene expression takes place at various levels. So from the nucleus to the cytoplasm and finally into the organism. Okay, so and also it depends upon the substrates, it depends upon various other factors also, which we will be seeing gradually. So that's all for today's class of the DNA replication and the various machineries and the enzymes associated with it.